The lead story today for Geek News Central. Ever wondered when your time might come? Well, the Death Clock app uses AI and data from 1,200 life expectancy studies to make educated guesses about your lifespan. By analyzing your personal habits and lifestyle, it provides predictions, even offers tips to live longer if you're willing to pay. It is the science, or is it science, or just a curiosity? Let's explore the fascinating intersection of technology and mortality. Welcome to episode 1783, coming to this Monday, December 3rd. I'm your host, Todd Cochran, ready to deliver your tech news and information fix. A quick shout out to our incredible sponsor at GoDaddy.com. Score exclusive deals and discounts at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. And to all our fantastic listeners, you are the real heartbeat of this show. If you want to support our GNC mission, head to geeknewscentral.com/insider and become a GNC insider. After a few challenges and trepidations today, we're lit and live thanks to modern podcast apps. Don't just listen. Experience the show live by grabbing a modern podcast app at podcastapps.com. You can interact in real time and take your podcasting experience to the next level. While you're at it, check out the full Geek News Central universe at geeknewscentral.com, where you'll find all our partner shows, tons of content, and more tech goodness. It's real easy to get over there. Just visit again geeknewscentral.com. Of course, stay in the loop, follow or subscribe via your favorite podcast app, and join the community. Don't forget to sign up for the newsletter for even more insider scoops. And you have something to say? Join the conversation at geeknews.chat or email me, geeknews@gmail.com. You can hit me up on X at Geek News. And of course, you can even catch me on Facebook. Hope everyone's doing well, and we definitely are glad to be back in the saddle here. But definitely a big shout out to our sponsor and a little bit of news on the sponsor. I was able to get the numbers that came in. We had a stellar November. I want to thank all of you for really hitting it out of the ballpark. Um, you did a great job. Those of you that picked up a GoDaddy product or service, and of course, we're ready for some of you to pick up a fantastic deal and get your seriously exclusive savings now at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy with our GoDaddy promo codes. And again, these are straight from the team here. You're able to support the team. But if you want to start a website or a podcast, the Geek News Central promo codes make it easy and affordable. Grab GoDaddy's economy hosting for just $6.99 a month. And that's a full year of hosting at $6.99 a month, a free domain name, professional email, and SSL certificate. Copy or click the promo code for the WordPress hosting. And you can get, again, WordPress managed hosting for just $12.99 a month. Again, includes a free domain name, professional email, and an SSL certificate for the first year. Now, don't worry if you just need a domain name. Get yours for $11.99. Matter of fact, I pick up a couple over the long holiday weekend, and so I use my own codes as well. And if you're testing the water, try GoDaddy's website builder. And it's a free offer for a month. You can get a personal business or business plus plans. And of course, I use all of the GoDaddy products and services. And as I said earlier, your support keeps this podcast alive. Use our code, save money, and back in this independent team of creators, share these deals with friends and family, because every time a code is used, it supports the Geek News Central team and our ongoing operations here. And thank you for keeping us online and going strong. Get the latest deals at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Your support really means everything to me. And I just, again, I kind of want to reiterate here. for a better word, we had a great month, and probably the best month in. Now, I had said earlier we did great with October, but November probably was the biggest month we have seen in 1 or 2 years. So I don't know if you picked up. We're busy out over the Thanksgiving holiday or whatever it was, but yeah, big thanks to all of you for picking up GoDaddy products and services. So I hope you're doing well. And yeah, Turkey Day in the Philippines is interesting. There was several places we could have went, and there was a group here that I hang out with, and we decided to have dinner at one of the places that was offering a Thanksgiving dinner, and it was about $13. But I'm going to tell you what, no seconds, no thirds, no one going back later and getting some more cake or deviled eggs or anything like that. So if I'm here in a future year, we'll probably pick a different venue, because as we were seeing the reviews on YouTube, definitely, yeah, some places were a little more generous in their spread. It's rare to push the plate away on Thanksgiving and still be hungry. I wouldn't say I was, but probably 4 hours later, I was looking for my next meal. So good. It was fantastic. It was soft, delicious, all of the fixings, but just a portion. And yeah, so it is what it is. But no, had a great time. Enjoyed a few extra days off. Uh, Today's been a very busy day back at work, and everything that goes along with running a business. We got our new team members that have started, and really excited about the progress there. I've got one additional team member starting a week from today, so should be an interesting time, to say the least. So I'm going to go ahead here, and I'm trying to get something to load, and it doesn't appear. Is it online? My devices shows it online. Why are you not responding? I may have to power. Oh, here it comes. It just took a while to respond. What I'm trying to do is get the, oops, wrong password. Try to get the Umbro to load back in Michigan. My little Raspberry Pi. Maybe it's time for a reboot on that. So trying to get the Heliopad app loaded. So I failed to do that. I was having technical trouble at the beginning of the show today. I was having challenges with my live streamer. I might have a cable that's going bad. But anyway, okay, let's go ahead and get into the stack. And this first article is just a little weird. And I don't know about you, but I'm not so sure I'd want to do this. The maker of this new app called Death Clock think they can predict when you're going to die. The app uses information you provide about yourself, coupled with AI analysis of 1,200 life expectancy studies. The AI was trained on these studies, ensuring that statistically speaking, it can make a logical guess about your mortality date. What how do you feel about that? If you're young, in your 20s and 30s, or maybe even your 40s, maybe it's something you look at. But when you're at your 60s, you're a little bit further down the road than you were. So for me, it's like, do I really need to know that information? Do I really need to know that how the clock is ticking and what the prediction is? I don't know, but it makes sense, and if you think about this in a bigger sense, does that make sense? If you think about this in a bigger sense, what happens with insurance companies now? If they have all this data about us, you've applied for life insurance. Maybe you got a pre-existing condition. Maybe you've got type 2 diabetes or type 1, or maybe you have a health condition, and they punch this all into a calculator like this, and it says, okay, this dude or dudette is going to die when they are 83 years old, and you're 55, and you're applying for some life insurance. Well, your premiums are going to be, they're going to set your premiums super, super high with all this new data they have. Or they may decide, he's not worth the risk. Or if you have, good family traits, knock on wood, we have long lived, my grandparents lived to 98, 99 on my mom's side. And then on my dad's side, late 80s, early 90s or mid 90s. So, even though the heart disease runs in the family, there's been, we've got some pretty good longevity. And I have all of my direct aunts and uncles on my dad's side. So, at least genetically related. So maybe my mom's brother is, because of his handicap, has lived longer than anyone would have ever expected. So maybe but again, stupidity doesn't override and living a completely crazy lifestyle. They lived a different life. So genes can't count on everything. So this Death Clock app, I don't know. What say you? I'd love to hear your feedback. geeknews@gmail.com for sure. Definitely check it out. If you're watching this stream live today, did get a little bit late start, had a little bit of some technical issues, as I said, so I apologize. One thing I have stopped doing, and it's just because I'm doing accounting, I'm sitting here looking at my budget, and just to do the live video stream via the new podcast apps, that was costing me about $90 a month. And I love you guys a lot, but for the handful of people that were watching the video version of the show on a new podcast app, I just didn't think it was worth it. So I canceled that service. And so now when we're live and lit, we're only going to be live and lit via audio. Now we'll be live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and stuff like that, but you just won't catch the live video per se on a new modern podcast app. I can't justify it for sure. And $90 a month, $1,000 a year. So when it comes to budget, the dollars add up over time. So it's a little bit of a change here in that expenditure. All right, AI Granny and her cat Fluffy goes after phone spammers, and this is not the first time this has been done. The AI for Public Good, a mobile phone company in the UK, has created a digital AI called Daisy to thwart phone spammers and by keeping them on the line for a long time. The talkative chatbot created by O2 and modeled on the grandmothers of some of the bot developers is the newest member of O2's fraud prevention team. The phone company says in a post about Daisy, you can also watch a 1.5-minute long video of Daisy in action, in which she says, "Hello, scammers, I'm your worst nightmare." Now, they describe this AI chatbot as completely indistinguishable from a real person. It says Daisy can interact with scammers in real time without any input. She keeps scammers on call successfully for 40 minutes at a time by pretending not to be tech savvy, talking about her cat Fluffy in general, wasting as much of their time as possible with human-like rambling. So, though in the past year, AI has helped the U.S. government recover $1 billion lost to fraud scams, consumers around the world lost more than $1 trillion to online scammers, of course. So I think here, if we really get down to the brass tacks on this, we need to realize that our biggest, the biggest prevention measure that we can put in place as tech savvy individuals is during Christmas time or whenever you're hanging out, have a conversation with your elderly loved ones. If you have someone that's elderly, that doesn't have someone in their support circle, please explain to them what's going on digitally. Make them aware. Make them understand that there are scammers out there that want to take their money and they should be careful of anyone they talk to. When in doubt, call the geek nerd in the family. This is how we prevent this. If we just, each of us did our part and explained to our loved ones that going to the bank and getting money out and putting it in aluminum foil and shipping it via FedEx, number one, is illegal. Number two, is a scam. Going to the grocery store and buying gift cards, Google Play cards, anything is a scam. No one is asking. We have to teach our loved ones about this. And I'm going to be quite frank here. When you have had an elderly person in your family that's living alone, wants to be independent, they don't want to go into assisted living, which happens a lot. My grandparents did not want, one set did, one set didn't want to go into assisted living. They're home alone and they're lonely. So going to the doctor, going to shopping, it's a social occasion. It's something to be able to talk to people because guess what? Their circle of friends have gotten smaller. My grandparents lived such an age that most of their friends died. So we have to make sure that they understand that these people that are tugging on their hearts are not someone they're there to help them. They are vile, repulsive, nasty, just someone that wants to drain their bank account. And they're predators. You have sexual predators that are on the top, and then you have predators that go after the elderly and those that are not very tech savvy and thinking they're talking to someone that's trying to help them fix their computer. Maybe the the predator list is a little bit different in your regard, but these folks just empty bank accounts. So do your part. Take 5 minutes and have a discussion every year. Every year, have that discussion. Remind people, because I'm going to be honest with you. People are forgetful when they get older. They need to be reminded, made to be forefront, and most important, have security. If you have trust with your family members, you need to have someone in the family that has a security lock on their accounts to make sure this type of stuff can't happen. Especially if they get to the point where, the reasoning functions change. And again, nothing to say bad about elderly. That just happens. So let's do our part and protect the ones that we love, okay? Really, really important. I'm going to move on here. Range Rover, Range Rovers, electric SUVs are getting tested in the UAE under extreme heat. Now, I'm going to tell you, there is heat, and then there is nuclear heat. And I will say that in the Middle East, that heat is real. That's a wake you up moment. So they're testing these EVs because they say for this to happen, for them to come online with these vehicles, they must be able to do everything current fuel, gas, and diesel-powered Range Rovers can accomplish. For a start, it must keep up the brand's all-terrain reputation including deep water, and be able to withstand extreme temperatures. So they've been running the piss out of these things in the UAE, where temperatures can reach over 120 degrees Fahrenheit. So they're climbing sand dunes and doing all kinds of fun stuff with these vehicles. So yeah, they have 48,000 pre-orders for people waiting for these to come online. And again, if you like EVs, great. Some people don't ever even get their Range Rovers wet. They're a status symbol. They don't use them for work. They're not in the outback. They're not in the desert. So I know your mileage is going to vary here. I would imagine those that are actually using these Range Rovers for uh, areas that require high durability, rough roads, dirt roads, crossing streams, really running in the environment that Range Rovers are designed to be run in, you're probably going to want a fueled vehicle, because where are you going to charge in the middle of the desert? The DJI Flip, there's been a leak. This is the first glance at a mysterious flying object. So, DJI, the situation in the United States is dire. In basically us losing the ability to buy drones from DJI. But they have another drone in the works, and it's foldable. It folds up and will just, they're going through testing. It hasn't been announced, but there is a leaked video of it. So link will be up in the show notes for you that are DJI fans like me to check out. Meanwhile, Meta wants to build a $10 billion subsea cable that's going to span the world. So they would link the United States with South Africa, India, and Australia. It's in preliminary discussions. Of course, we just heard about a Chinese vessel cutting a undersea cable here recently, or suspected to have. But this is in the planning stage and could be a $10 billion investment by Meta, because WhatsApp, Facebook, it's accounting for a huge amount of traffic, and if they can save transition or data cost by building their own undersea cable, like they build out fiber, smart on their part. This is a curious one, and it gives some thought to what the future could hold. Panasonic has revived its late founder as an AI. The AI version of Kensuke Manashita will be used to help train the company's new employees. So let's think about this for a second. It's a bit of a novel idea. Panasonic, world-renowned company, and this gentleman who died in 1989 was one of the most respected figures in Japan, in Japanese business world. And his book, called The Path, is usually considered a mandatory reading for Japanese entrepreneurs. Now, if you think about your life, what you've had to offer, what you've done, what you put out on media, I think about what I've done over the past 20 years in podcasting. And I'm pretty much out there, right? There's a lot of data, tens of thousands of hours of recording. I have lots of written content. So hypothetically, I could probably include lots of videos of what I have from childhood and as an adult, and I could potentially build an AI for myself that could be used by my grandchildren, great-grandchildren, if I wasn't here, to be able to learn about the thought process that I have and give advice down the road. One of the things I did a number of years ago is I recorded my grandparents And I probably have about 20 hours of video. They're talking about their childhood, their life, how they met, marriage, World War II, on and on and on. And although we all sit around and have conversations, how much do you really, really, really remember? From a genealogy standpoint, my my mom has done a great job, and other family members have done a great job. But a lot of this is just historical information. There's not a lot of personal information that goes along with it. So what happens now, if you can take these stories and this life, 20 hours of content, and add that to a persona, either ancestry.com persona, or you name it, it would be very impressive. The things that you could do for future generations that, maybe no one wants to come back and see great, great, great grandpa Todd. It might be entertaining, but how do we get that to the point where once I'm not here and maintaining that, it can move forward? I could see future um, genealogists putting together and compiling content like this of people that have already come and passed. So it's an interesting thought here. They're going to use his AI to train employees. They say, we believe it is important for our employees to understand our founder, his leadership and philosophy on which our basic management policy is based, and pass it on through generations. So, you think about corporate culture. I would say at Blueberry, we have a certain kind of culture that we have adapted as a company. So sometimes we know people are not going to fit. So Panasonic has a culture, Google has a culture, Apple has a culture. So it's interesting, isn't it, to think about what could be passed down if you want to stay that rigid. And Japanese are pretty, pretty rigid. The doom and gloomers are already out. They're saying that President-elect Trump may cancel NASA's powerful SLS moon rocket. And here's what it would mean for Elon Musk in the future of space travel. Well, people are, they know that Elon has a cozy relationship with the president-elect. That's pretty obvious. He's been pretty outspoken. A lot of people have left X because of that. And matter of fact, I'll talk about the site that they've moved to, those that have left X. But here's the thing. Is it time for things to change? Can we continue to support big government contracts, big government programs that have been disastrous? You look at the Boeing thing, disastrous. And understandably, we needed big moonshot stuff before. The Manhattan Project, building Hoover Dam. We needed these big government programs to build big things and do big, big projects. There is a time and a place for the government, but are we at a point where maybe NASA should be focused on more science than exploration, and leave the exploration to the commercial industry, who's going to be the ones that's going to make it work anyway? I don't know. What say you? I'd love to hear your feedback. geeknews@gmail.com. Do you think the SLS should be canceled, considering it's like $1 billion or something like that, and a completely non-reusable rocket? It's a one and done. And if you think about what SpaceX at least is trying to accomplish with Starship, at least we know at this point that a lot of those materials, I think they're up to 80% or so. Obviously, the second stage they have to abandon. They have no way of getting the second stage back at this point. Give them some time, maybe they'll figure that out. But if you can save and reuse like they're doing, it just makes financial sense. It really, really does. The cost per kilogram or cost per pound is still high, but not as high as it would be. A photographer has captured a mysterious image, and this is really wild. The photographer captured a mysterious blue light during an avalanche. A blue light temporarily flashes out of Mount Zianar during an avalanche. And as near as they can figure it, it's some sort of lightning that's been generated internally between the friction of um, the snow and the rock and the right atmospheric conditions. It's pretty cool. It kind of makes sense a little bit, but this is the first time this phenomenon has ever been seen. So pretty good catch on her part. At the same time, when Windows 11 market share falls despite Microsoft's ad blitz, people just are not wanting to move operating systems, and especially with all these hardware requirements. And despite Microsoft's push to get customers onto Windows 11, the growth has stalled while Windows 10 has made modest gains. And after a year and a half of growth, the line for Windows 11 global desktop market share has taken a slight downturn. The website usage monitor going from 35.6 to 34.9. On the other hand, it managed to grow its share of Windows 10 by just under a percentage point, up to 61.8 from 60.8. So in other words, more people are starting to use Windows 10 than they are Windows 11. I really think it's because the hardware requirements. There's a lot more computers now that will run Windows 10 that can run Windows 11. I've got one behind me that can't run Windows 11. It just doesn't have whatever hardware requirements they need. So, of course, I'm not going to upgrade. And with desktops and laptops lasting a lot longer these days, makes sense to me that people are not moving. Tesla Model 3 and Model Y, Cybertruck owners finally got Sirius XM access. So satellite radio service part of the 2024 Tesla holiday update. So if you're a Sirius XM fan, be prepared to pay. And by the way, if you do have a subscription with them and they try to renew you at some insane amount, just cancel. In about 3 weeks, they'll send you a deal that gets your price down to something reasonable if you want to continue it. But anyway, Model 3, Model Y, and Cybertruck get access to Sirius XM. If you live in India, Uber now offers boat hailing in India. It's not the first time Uber is offering water transport. So those who want to enjoy the Dal Lake Shakira rides through Uber can make reservation at least 12 hours and up to 15 days advance. Currently, around 4,000 shikaras operate on Dal Lake, according to Uber. Apple let riders match with operators but won't charge a fee. All of the boat ticket money paid by the passenger goes to the operator. So, but again, they're not taking a fee. They're just helping them make a connection. The boat riders still make all the money. Say that's okay. Android in news again with more malware apps. So another batch of spy loan apps have been found on the Play Store. Researchers found 15 predatory loan apps. These apps promise cheap and quick loans and then extort money and harass the victims. The apps have been since removed, targeting South America and Asia. So a lot of that activity originating in a variety of countries here in Asia. Okay, so do want to thank Darren for his 2,222 stat boost. Boost, no censorship. I'm staying on X2. So thanks, Darren, for the boost. I definitely appreciate that. Of course, Darren and others have been streaming sats. Darren has been streaming anywhere from, wow, that's impressive, 396,010, 100 sats. Set your rate, folks. Pestmerk, thanks for your streaming sats to the show. Anonymous podcast guru users streaming sats to me as well. I'm getting 60. I got 60 sats from true fans that stream the show. So thank you all so much for your incoming value for value contribution to the show. And of course, we want to thank our insiders. We want to thank Roger Nash for his $2 contribution to the show, Richard Woodworth for his $10.41 sustaining donation, Michael Pay for his $5 sustaining donation, Kurt Corliss for his $5 sustaining donation, and Curtis Parrish for his $5 sustaining donation. Now, it's real simple to become an insider, and we want you to consider becoming an insider. All you got to do is go over to geeknesscentral.com/insider, and you can set up your donation level, whether it's a $2 sustaining, a $5 Ohana donation, $10 per month Warrior donation, a Kahuna donation of $15 per month, the Alahi Chief $25 per month contribution. Lifetime donations of $1,000 earns you a special gift. You have the ability to set up your contributions right on that page. So geeknesscentral.com/insider is the place to go. Value for value. If you don't want to contribute your treasure, consider contributing your time and talent. And just drop me an email, geeknews@gmail.com, and we can set you up with stuff to do. There's always work here to support the show. So again, thank you for our insiders and those of you that are using a modern podcast app from podcastapps.com. New changes are coming. We're going to make it easier for those of you to participate in the streaming sats world. There's been some complications in basically custodial wallets and that kind of stuff, but don't worry, we're going to make it so simple that all you have to do is maybe just use your Swift account to be able to support the show. Or again, you can get to geeknewscentral.com and just make a PayPal donation. All right, employee lawsuits accuses Apple of spying on its workers. Now, one thing that was very interesting here, when we hired our team, the 3 people we've hired here in the Philippines, we had the option to turn on monitoring, and to be honest with you, very creepy. We didn't do it, but I just don't think it's right. You hire people to trust them. You give them tasks, get the task done. That's what it's all about. So, a lawsuit filed by a current Apple employee accuses the company spying its workers via their personal iCloud accounts and non-work devices. So, it alleges that employees are required to give up the right to their personal privacy, and that the company says it can engage in physical, video, and electronic surveillance of them even when they're at home and after they stop working for Apple. Those requirements are part of a long list of Apple employment policies that the suit contends violates California law. The plaintiff in the case has worked in advertising technology for Apple since 2020. According to the suit, Apple uses privacy policies to harm his employment prospects. For instance, it forbade her or him from participating in public speaking about digital advertising and forced him to remove information from his LinkedIn page about his job at Apple. It's true. They're very, very tight over there. So, but if you sign an employment agreement, you're agreeing to those conditions. Not to say that they can't be challenged in court. Is exactly what Amar is doing. Elon Musk is seeking an injunction to stop OpenAI from morphing into a for-profit company. He's filed an injunction against OpenAI. He basically said that we know that they want to become a public company and do not want to maintain the entity that they were originally set up at the time. The new filing asks for an injunction to prevent OpenAI and a number of other linked parties from activities such as investing in OpenAI's competitors, obtaining sensitive information about relationship between Microsoft and OpenAI board, furthering the conversion of OpenAI for a for-profit enterprise, and allowing OpenAI to do business with entities in which any of the defendants have a financial interest. So we will see where this goes, but they were supposed to be completely open. So what is 2025 going to bring? The prediction is 2025 will be a bad year for remote work, especially for government workers. We know that the Department of Government Efficiency, they are going to try to reduce the amount of federal bureaucracy and employees, and find someone getting rid of someone in the federal government is not as easy as it sounds. So one of the things they can do is force all employees back to work 5 days a week. You're back to the office. You cannot work remote. So that will probably cause some people to resign, which would be an immediate reduction. And then via the budgeting, they just can't announce those positions. They have to go through and get an approval of sorts to rehire people. It's each employee in the federal government has basically a budget line and a job description, and then rehiring people. It's kind of a complicated process depending on the agency. I know that sometimes people have to wait for years to move from contractor to federal employee just because they weren't able to. It's easier to have a contractor than it is a federal employee, and a contractor is more expensive than a federal employee. So where they can immediately reduce costs is by canceling contracts. But we'll see if they're able to even accomplish this. There's going to be so much pushback from the Senate and the House of Representatives, regardless of them both being controlled Republicans. I don't know if you can ever get rid of all this, but the expectation that the in-office mandate will inspire thousands of employees to quit. Maybe, and time will tell. I know that I have learned how to be a better remote worker. When I had my office in Michigan, it really was for me. Even though I was remote working, I had a place to go to and sit down and not have to have a distraction of the house. So time will tell how this goes. Tesla investors, Alice, have questions on the potential robotaxis and self-driving vehicles. Again, everyone thinks because President-elect Trump and Elon are so close that this could mean big things for Tesla and all electric vehicle makers and self-driving vehicles. They could get this big bump. I think time will tell on that. NASA is seeking ideas for rescuing an astronaut from the moon. And so again, we know about them wanting to transport someone. Now, how do you rescue someone? And they want to say, how do we get people back from the moon? And so they're looking for ideas. $20,000 reward for the idea that seems the most practical. Again, It doesn't seem like rocket science to me. You're going to have to put a spacecraft up there and get them. I think the chance of recovering someone with an injury from the moon in the initial days is going to be pretty narrow. I don't know. But they have to put some thought into it, and that's what they're going to do. Google Maps is using a lot more Waze data. Not all drivers are happy about it. In other words, Google now show you where there might be a accident or where there may be a speed trap, or some other information. Sadly, I used to love Waze a lot. I find the app now almost useless. They've handicapped it in such a way. I just use Google Maps now. Now, if you've been disgruntled and you've moved off of X because of the election and you moved to Blue Sky, Blue Sky's open API means anyone can scrape your data for AI training because it's all public. Now, Blue Sky said it'll never train generative AI on its users, but despite that, 1 million public Blue Sky posts completely with identifying user information were crawled and then uploaded to AI company Hugging Face and building training data on your data over there. So Blue Sky said they're looking way for users to communicate their consent preferences, but everything's public. So don't be surprised if your comments on Blue Sky end up in a AI training model, probably just about everywhere, to be honest with you. The company behind Arc is building a new AI web browser called Dia. The browser company CEO Josh Miller teased in October that it was launching a more AI-centric product with a new video revealing is Dia, a web browser built to simplify everyday internet tasks using AI tools. So, according to the teaser, Dia's familiar AI features like write the next line, which fetches facts from the internet as demonstrated by pulling the original iPhone launch spec, give me an idea and summarize a tab. It also understands the entire web browser window, allowing me to copy a list of Amazon links. AI won't exist as an app or a button. A message on the Dia website reads, "We believe it will be an entirely new environment." And yes, indeed, I'm sure it is going to be. So we're going to see lots of this kinds of stuff. World's second fastest supercomputer runs the largest simulation of the universe. So this is pretty exciting. The supercomputer is known as Frontier, lives at Oak Ridge National Laboratory, and is a beast of a device built to be the first exascale supercomputer. It can perform 1.1 exaflops, which is equal to 1.1 quintillion, or 10 to 18th power, of floating point operations per second. And it's made up of 9,472 AMD Central Processing Unit CPUs and 37,888 AMD graphics GPUs. That's a staggering amount of power. And so anyway, it took over. It's now one of the fastest computers in the world, and it's doing simulations of the universe. Russia, surprisingly, has arrested one of its own, a cybercrime suspect on the FBI's most wanted list. Now, they're not deporting him, but they've arrested him for actions that have happened within Russia itself. Speaking of Russia, if you want to see how the sanctions are not working over there, go ahead and load some videos and just search Russia 2024 lifestyle, and you might be surprised. Glassdoor CEO, I refuse to work late on weekends in front of my kids. I'd rather go back to my office. That's what he has stated. With my children, I want to lead by not having digital products all around or being distracted by my email and text. He works 5 days for work remotely, using the flexibility there with my kids, come home and be able to get offline, spending quality time. 46% of teenagers between 13 and 17 say parents get distracted by their phones during conversations with them, which is pretty sad. And there's a correlation between parents glued to their phones and children feeling stressed or emotionally detached. So this is why when I was still in Hawaii, and the kids were still sitting at the dinner table. No devices were allowed 30 minutes before dinner and 30 minutes after dinner. That was the rule. Devices down, no interaction with them, no computers, nothing, strictly human conversation. And a big move, one that I appreciate. Intel's CEO has been forced out by the board, and they're frustrated with the slow process. CEO Glessinger resigned, and Executive VP Johnson Holotas will serve as interim CEO. They said either retire or be fired. The clash came to a head last week when he met with the board about the company's progress on winning back market share, narrowing the gap with NVIDIA. He was given the option to retire or be removed and chose to announce the end of his career at Intel, said the people who asked not to be identified. So Glessinger, 63, once hailed as a savior of the chip giant after taking the reins 3 years ago, has not met the mark that they want. And shares gained 6% on the news that he was out. So not surprising. Been a little bit of controversy going on with ChatGPT. Why does the name David Mayer crash ChatGPT? Digital privacy requests may be at fault. Users of AI ChatGPT discovered an interesting phenomenon over the weekend. It reviews answers questions if asked about a David Mayer. Asking it to do so caused it to freeze up instantly. Conspiracy theories have ensued. But a more ordinary reason may be at the heart of the strange behavior. May have been because, well, let me go on. Also found to crash the service are the names Brian Hood, Jonathan Turley, Jonathan Zittrain, David Farber, and Guido Scorza. I don't know who these folks are. Who are these men, and why does ChatGPT hate them so much? But some of the names belong to people, but a potential thread of connection identified by ChatGPT users is that they are public or semi-public features who may prefer to have certain information forgotten by search engines and maybe have done a request. So time will tell. Of course, OpenAI explores advertising as it steps up its revenue model. They say they don't want to be too naughty about it. They don't want to be too overwhelming. But again, they got to they have to figure out how to pay for these models. And $20 a month from each of its users is not enough. And Teams users like me paying a little more, for the amount we use it, probably does not pay the entire bill. All right, pretty long show, all things considering. So I'm going to wrap this up. We'll have another show on Thursday. Been doing this very late my time, which makes it impossible for anyone on the East Coast to watch this show. We've had people on YouTube watching today. Thank you so much for those of you who come in, probably from the West Coast or somewhere else in the world. We definitely appreciate it. But all's well. And about another month here before I head back to the mainland. But so far, so good. Thank you all being here. Definitely feel free to drop me an email. Make sure you get over to geeknesscentral.com and visit the website. If you're not already subscribed to the show, please do so. Please follow or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast app. Follow along on YouTube or Facebook. Twitter is our X as well. And anyway, thanks everyone for being here. We'll see you next time. Take care. Support the sponsor, and hope you all are safe out there. Take care. Bye-bye.